Hey, welcome back to Lux Wives. I am getting ready for girls' night in with Crystal. We are hanging out tonight and I am doing the cooking, something that I love to do. So for the appetizer, I'm going to do a spinach dip, but it's a seafood spinach dip because I don't like artichoke. And for the main dish, I'm going to do shrimp and fish over some rice maybe and a vegetable. And then for the dessert, I'm going to do ooey gooey cake. So keep on watching. So for starters, I'm going to use a half stick of butter. I buy them in the already half stick portions, so I don't have to measure out anything. And I keep my onions and bell peppers frozen, so whenever I need them, I could just pull them out the freezer and add them to my dish, no cutting. I let that simmer for a little bit, mixing occasionally, and then when I feel like the onions are translucent, then I add my flour. This is all-purpose flour. This next portion I did wrong, so I'm going to show you. I should have added my half and half here, but we'll keep going. That's my spinach, frozen spinach that I defrosted. And I decided just to do crawfish because I'm going to have shrimp and I'm going to have fish. So that's a lot of seafood. So I'm just stirring everything, making sure everything get incorporated. My Tony Chacheres, y'all know I add this to almost all of my dishes. Garlic salt, I didn't have any more garlic pepper, so I just used a little bit of that. And cayenne pepper because, you know, we like a little spice to it. This one I saw wasn't open, so I got my other cayenne pepper and just added a little bit. I always add, we're just going to add a little bit. This is crab ball, by the way. And it's just for like a seafood taste. This crab ball can make your dishes very greasy, very oily. So you just want to use a little bit. I use Old Bay whenever I do any kind of seafood. I add Old Bay to all of my seafood. But with that crab ball, just a little bit. That's all you need. All right. This is when I realized I was doing it wrong. This is my half and half. And I'm like, oh man, I messed up. Okay, so I'm going to do it in this little portion right here. So your half and half, you're supposed to make it like a roux or a gravy. Before this portion, it wasn't working. I'm like, man, I messed up. I'm going to have to start all over again. Then I was like, well, let me add my cheese. You're supposed to use mozzarella cheese. I forgot to get that at the store, so any cheese is fine. I said, let me just mix it up and see if I can make it work. And if it works, then great. If not, then we'll scratch this. And it worked. So I tasted it. And, oh, no. This is my Rotel. I add the one that has the jalapenos in it as well. Not thick enough, so I'm adding more cheese. If I would have used mozzarella, this would have been perfect. But this mixed cheese is just giving me the blues right now. Anywho, I tasted it and it didn't have enough seasoning, so I'm just adding a little more of Old Bay. All right, so now I put it in the oven. So I'm going to grease my pan and then transfer it to the oven. I'm going to add a little more cheese on top. This was the mozzarella, but I only had like a very, very little bit, so. If you want, you can also add breadcrumbs to the top. That'll give it kind of like a crust. Now, shrimp. I always use fresh shrimp when I'm going to cook. I do not like frozen shrimp, so here we go. You peel them. And I'll show you later how I wash them. Okay, here it is. I wash them really, 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 really well. And I don't know why I skipped the other step before going back to it, but I'm just gonna wash my potatoes because I decided to do potatoes instead of rice. And I'm just gonna cut them, cutting off the bad ends, and then adding them to my pot. All right, now that the potatoes are done, I'm cutting the veins out of, oh, I wanted to get the potatoes on. That's why I stopped, yes. I cut the veins out of the shrimp. That's important to me. Get them veins out, girl. All right. Now I'm gonna show you my potatoes. Oh, let me put that butter in there. Let that start melting down. Now, girl, I'm going to season the water of these potatoes. Old Bay, just to keep it with the rest of the theme of the food. Salt, pepper, Tony's, I think that's it. Now I'm going to go to the other pan. I'll show you. That was my onions. I'm going to add bell pepper as well from the frozen, so we don't have to do that cutting. Remember, this is where I'm gonna do it correctly. This is how I'm gonna make my roux correctly. So if you want to do a spinach dip, follow this roux, not the one that I did. I'm gonna season my shrimp, Old Bay, Tony's, and garlic salt. Like I said, usually it's garlic powder, but I didn't have any. I just want a little garlic. I should have just did minced garlic in there. That would have been good, but I digress. I add a little more Old Bay to my shrimp. Mix that up. See how I was about to dump that shrimp in there? I was like, no girl, you already made that mistake. All right, now we're gonna make this roux correctly. This is about a teaspoon of all-purpose flour, and then I'll notice I'll need another teaspoon later. You can make your cream sauce as thick or as loose as you want. I'm looking for a specific type of consistency, and then I'm gonna season my vegetables because I don't want my gravy to taste like flour. I want it to taste like something. Half and half. You'll see it start tightening up. That's what you want. This is what you want when you start to make your roux for. This is going to be a cream sauce, but same thing like with the spinach dip. This is how I should have done it first. But it still came out good, so whatever. I took my spinach dip out of the oven. It looks amazing. See that consistency though? Y'all see it? That's what I want. Add my shrimp in. I've already turned my fire down, and I'm just gonna leave these alone. I'm not gonna touch them. Just gonna let them cook all by themselves. And I'm moving on to the bread. I bought this in the store already cut. It's like French bread. I love French bread with my items. I melted some butter in the microwave, and I'm gonna butter both sides, but I'm gonna do one side first, throw it in the oven, and then flip it. And here's my fish. I washed them all off, and I'm gonna lay them down. Fish, really easy. I had to turn them, make sure they were all facing the same way. Tony's. I am only seasoning one side, and I'm just gonna be a little heavy-handed. This is the garlic salt, Old Bay. It wasn't coming out at first, y'all. All right. This is an orange. I squeezed the juice of an orange. You can use a lemon or any citrus that you prefer. And then I laced the citrus on top. I'm putting this in the oven uncovered, and that's the butter. I flipped the bread over, buttered the other side, and now it's time to plate. Those potatoes were awesome, I might add. And put my fish on top of the potatoes, and then my shrimp on top of the fish. Y'all, I didn't have time to make a vegetable. I was already running late. So the spinach dip is about to be the vegetable. Just imagine this on the plate, okay? Add some bread to that, and here we are. Doesn't that look good? It was so good, y'all. We had such a good time. After my house at eating, we went over to Crystal's house. Pop that bottle, honey. And this was later on that night. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really enjoyed today.